talking about sovereign immunity and just the way the state has the esoteric legal nature of why the state can move past its constitutional boundaries. So without further ado, here's Ed Heimlich. Thank you.
Hello, fellow texters and friends. I'm Ed Heimlich. I'm leading the Honor Quest initiative. Antonio Buehler. Who here is familiar with his name? And did you see this news about his case?
Yeah. Yep.
And before you get too excited about that, I suggest you carefully read the judge's ruling in that case. Fellow citizens, do your rights come from a judge or from government?
No.
As stated in our organic law, July 4th, 1776, a free people instinctively knows that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that people are endowed by their creator with unalienable rights. In our organic law of 1836, the founders referred to these rights as inherent. In other words, they existed before government. Government does not create rights. Government does not create people. To the contrary, people create government. But there's a strong tendency among those who have been trusted with positions in government to forget self-evident truths. I call it amnesia induced by arrogance. A constitutional law secures rights for those who become afflicted by arrogant amnesia when entrusted with positions in government. I have read the 36 pages of the ruling in the Buehler case. It is additional proof of the need for our honor quest. The suspension of our Texas Constitution is confirmed in that opinion, in that ruling on page 32, and I quote, Buehler, who asserts violations of the search and seizure and due process sections of the Texas Constitution. These sections do not mention compensation or damages in any respect, and therefore do not provide a private right of action for damages. Did you get that? The judge is saying that the government can violate the law found in our Texas Bill of Rights, and there will be no consequences for the government. He's saying the victim of violations of fundamental, constitutionally secured human rights has no right to restitution. And finally, there's that phrase, private right of action for damages. It simply means a lawsuit. In violation of the open courts provision of our Texas Bill of Rights, he's saying that the court is closed on those issues. It continues. The court first turns to Buehler's claim for damages under the Bill of Rights to the Texas Constitution. In light of the foregoing, the only viable damages claim he has alleged is for the taking of his camera. In order to be compensated for a taking under the Bill of Rights to the Texas Constitution, the taking must be for public use. So you see, the government does not deny that it took Buehler's camera and did not return it. But the government attorneys say, with the judge agreeing, that Buehler has no right to his camera or its return or compensation for his property because the camera was not taken for public use. When you see this ruling in Antonio Buehler's case, you see the reason Honor Quest is sounding the alarm and giving notice that our Texas Constitution has been suspended. Many don't want to believe it, they refuse to believe it, or simply don't understand it. Here's what to tell them. All of you are familiar with traffic laws. You're reminded of them every day. You see speed limit signs, you see stop signs. Now, suppose the government decides that violations of traffic laws may not be prosecuted in our courts. The courts are closed. What would you say about the traffic law? You'd say they've been suspended. For all practical purposes, they have. The laws and signs remain, but they're now just suggestions that drivers can disregard with impunity, cause damage, injury, and no one can get any restitution, justice for them. That is what our legislature has done with our Texas Constitution. We have a Bill of Rights. It's a big red stop sign. Our Constitution is a stop sign. It tells government to stop when they want to search you or search your property. It tells the government to stop when they want to arrest you without probable cause. It also mandates due process of law. In other words, the sign says stop when they want to subject you to a trial that's just for show, to get the appearance that you had a fair trial when you did not, to give the appearance of guilt when you were innocent. Now, all these stop signs remain in our Constitution and in other laws, but as with the Antonio Buehler ruling, our Texas legislature has said it would cost too much for the government to allow you to do to the government what the government does to you. You cannot prosecute, or in other words, bring a lawsuit against the government for running any of these stop signs. As a result, our government has become lawless, and those who act in the name of our government have become dangerous. What is most amazing about what the legislature did in 2001 is that they also took away their own power. When it comes, they're the ones that are supposed to make laws that provide us with additional protections. But now, their laws have become just suggestions that the executive and judicial division can disregard with impunity. Now, of course, when it comes to you and your actions, now they're going to hold you accountable to the legislature's suggestions. And on top of that, if that's not good enough, the executive and judicial division will create some of their own to hold you accountable to, even though our Constitution explicitly does not give any lawmaking power to the judges, the judicial division, or the executive division. The result of all this has been billions in wasted expenditures. Waste and loss from fraud and corruption that never appears in the media. Worse than this is thousands of lives destroyed by government free to act without any consequences for violating inherent, unalienable, fundamental human rights our Constitution and laws were created to secure. Michael Morton spent 25 years in prison because a prosecutor hid evidence of his innocence so that prosecutor could advance his career. For every Michael Morton you hear about, there's thousands, maybe tens of thousands, that you will never hear about. Your tax dollars are paid for the prosecution and incarceration of your innocent fellow Texans and fellow Americans. Texters and guests, there is no excuse for us to allow this to continue. Those who established our first constitutions did the hard part. There was no such thing as a constitution and a Bill of Rights binding the King of England and those who acted in his name as government of our colonies. They shed blood to give us that. Now all we have to do is ask our public servants to honor their oath to preserve, protect, and defend our Constitution. And they can do that by, first of all, repealing that statute of 2001 that says that the government of Texas is the sovereign, not us, the people, and that the government of Texas is immune from suit or liability for any of its wrongdoing, its violations of our Constitution and law, because it would cost too much. So I'm asking you to join me in this quest for honor. Do it for yourself, and visit our website, honorquest.org, and send me an email with any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Ed Hyman.
One final thing, please vote for me to be on the steering committee at our next meeting, our anniversary party. Thank you.
So if you had any questions regarding everything that was covered here, towards the end of our meeting, we're going to break out into micro groups again. If you were here at the last meeting, you could see it was the first time we had ever done that. And they're going to be working sessions around issues that you care about, issues that you're ready to get active with. So if you look on the agenda, you'll see that Ed is representing Honor Quest. So at the end, towards the end of our meeting, you can actually meet Ed and do a working session with him. So now, I'm so honored